Today we have ventured into the highest peaks of the Tibetan plateau because fan of the channel Mark has sent us a cheeky Crusader Kings 3 disaster save. If you're new to the channel, this is a series where you guys send me your disastrous CK3 save files, I play through them, fix your realms, and then even send them back to you so you can mess them up all over again. Mark writes, he had been trying to form the Empire of Tibet and was actually in his last offensive war required to do it, when all of a sudden, his player died. Mark's predominantly Muslim realm fell to his Hindu son, and as you can imagine, chaos ensued. Will we be able to stop the factions who rise up against us and accomplish Mark's original goal of forming the Empire of Tibet? You'll have to watch to find out. Okay, so here we are in the beginning of the game, and so as you can see, we have a ton of vassals who are angry with us. We are actually in 4 wars right now. We have 2 here, which Mark was actually doing pretty well in. This one here is actually an offensive war for these 2 territories, and I can see why you were doing this. If we take a look at this war, you can see it was started 3 years ago, so it's the oldest one. And if we actually look at the empires, you can see our friend Mark was only 1 county away from having enough land to create Tibet. So he was probably doing this last holy war in order to get that, found Tibet, and his goals would have been realized. But unfortunately, right after that, he had an independence war started 12 months ago, and that one actually has 17,000 men. And then there is a dissolution war, which was started 4 months ago with 7k people. And then the big one, which is this Muslim uprising, which you can see has a total strength of 35,000 people. Oh man, it's not going to be easy. I already went through and put all of our court amenities down to level 1 just because we need to save as much money as possible. One thing that was good is we had a bunch of prisoners, so the second I hit play here, we're going to get a little bit of money from that. I think like 150 gold. The whole reason this is happening is because his character died. His son somehow had converted to Hinduism. Happens to the best of us, not realizing your heir converting underneath you. And then pretty much that launched all of these wars. Because you'll see if we hover over these characters, pretty much all his vassals are Muslim, Ashari, and if we hover over this character, you can see they consider us evil. But I think there actually is a way we can win these wars. And it's not really by winning them outright, but either by white piecing them, or if we survive long enough for the leaders of these factions who will end up dying maybe in battles or something, then these wars will be invalidated, and we can at least gain a little bit of a buffer in order to grow our own strength and hopefully survive any future wars that will be declared against us, because the only way we can get out of this cycle of factions breaking off from us is to convert back to Asharism. But if I go to convert to faith, you can see it costs a lot of piety, and we don't have that much piety right now. We also can't go on any pilgrimages to gain more piety because we're at war. Something that could help reducing that cost is if we were able to pick up apostate in the scholar tree. However, we are locked into wealth focus right now, and we have to wait till 1103, which is 4 years from now, until we are able to change that. So we're pretty much locked into these wars right now, so we have to at least be able to fight them off on our own. So the first thing I'm going to do is, you can see we have 2 small armies here, which one is gathering and the other is already gathered. I'm going to take them and run into this army here, which is part of this offensive war we have to gain these 2 counties. Our 2 allies are part of this war as well, so if we run in here, we'll be able to beat them back, and we actually improve our military. We improve the war score up to 84, but since we also control the war target, this should tick to 100 on its own now, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. We can now take this army that was defeated before. I think I will drop a rally point just to pick up any stragglers we have. And I'm going to go and invade this county now. Because the main war I'm really concerned about as of right now is the Dissolution War, and I would need to get into this territory to start taking land in order to improve our war score there. And if I were just to run over into this territory, you can see we would lose some casualties, so I'd rather take this county first. It'll also help us in this uprising war. And the main reason I am worried about the Dissolution War, you can see there's only like 7,000 people in it, but those people are right here on our border, so they'll probably take our capital soon, which will start taking this into the positive for them. So you can see it was important for us to raise this army here, not because we had any men or men at arms or levies.
It's a man who can slap but can also stroke.
But because it had 7 knights who were just chilling. So if we move these 7 knights onto this army, at least it'll actually make that army a lot stronger. Oof, okay, so we got pretty lucky. They took our capital, but they actually didn't end up taking our heir. Oh, actually, because I actually raised our knights, we moved our heir into this army, and what that did is made sure he wasn't in our capital, so they couldn't have captured him, because if they did, that would give them a 50% bonus to this war score. I'm worried about them capturing this land here. If they do, we would lose this 41% for the offensive war. Oh my goodness, look how close that was. They were only 16 away from being able to win that war, but we hit 100% before they can capture that. So we can get these 2 counties now, and we get to piece out one of our wars. Also, looking at this independence war, we could actually piece that out as well, because they do have 13k, so they are pretty strong, and just having less people to fight will help us. So now we only have 2 wars to focus on, one which has 5,000 men, and the other one is the big one with 33k. I started searching for some hooks down here in the south, just to find some people we could possibly blackmail, and it looks like we actually got 2 characters who have money. So we can blackmail both of them, and then we can demand payment for those hooks. You can see that character is going to give us 60 gold, and this one's going to give us 65. So that's a great way we can keep earning money here while we are losing some for having our armies raised. That the Dissolution War has been invalidated. Now, one thing is, I know Dissolution Wars are a little bit buggy. I use a mod that actually makes them work, because otherwise, if the Dissolution War passes, none of the title that you're trying to dissolve won't actually get dissolved. Could have been something like that happened, because it does look like that vassal who was in charge of that Dissolution War is still alive. So I'm not sure why it would have been invalidated, but I'm definitely not complaining, because that means we only have 1 more war to fight off, and it is the big one, but we have a chance of actually coming out of this unscathed. So you can see the only problem with when a war is invalidated and not won outright is that the faction can just rise right back up again. You can see the same people are going to be joining it, and I only have like 6 months at a time in between when they leave to when they rejoin the war.
You've got mail.
At least this time we were on the right side of our kingdom, so we can fight off these guys when they were trying to take our capital from us.
No more.
Okay, so the Dissolution War got invalidated again, which is pretty huge. This Ashari Uprising War, though, is so close to going through. I just, like, every time it almost gets to negative 100, I take 1 more piece of land just to, like, delay it more. I think these are the 2... I think this is the territory here that actually is contributing to the attacker controls war target. So I'm going to try to take this one first, and then maybe make a move for that one, and we'll see if that actually gets rid of that penalty. But we'll see if they let us actually capture this territory. Boom, and there you go. It actually captures it. Oh man, and look at that. We get 41% score now. I really want to push for 100. Oh, I don't know what to do. I have 2 options here. I can either, and remember, I have another faction rising up against me with more vassals. So I can either white peace these guys. It'll give us a truce for 5 years. Okay, I think I'm actually just going to white peace them. That is long enough. And then we can probably fight off this independence faction. And then maybe we'll have enough time to settle our territories here. So it looks like we'll have 7 months of peace at least before these guys can send their faction through. Since we did win that 1 offensive war, we actually have enough land to create Tibet, the Empire of Tibet. We just need 1,000 gold, which we are pretty close to getting. I just picked up theology focus for more piety. You can already see we're going to be making 2.4 per month. And if we can pick up apostate, we can then switch our religion over to Asharism, which should really help with all these factions that are joining against us. Oh boy, and it looks like I'm not going to be able to raise our military strength fast enough in order to stop this faction from rising. And then we also have another Ashari populist faction. I guess all these vassals down here who are in the last one can't join the faction for 5 years. But it looks like everybody else, like the rest of my vassals who actually weren't in that first war, are now trying to join it as well.
Grr.
Okay, here we go. First, the independence faction is going to go, and then the other one's probably going to go right after that. I have to call all our allies in here. At least we have a bit of a stronger military than when they first all declared war on us.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
And here you go. The populist faction is going to go right after that. So this one's 13k. And this one's only 16k. That's actually not too awful. So even though the Dissolution faction is controlling a lot of my territory, I took this one piece of land over here, and that was actually the war target. So we've been gaining defender controls war target this whole time, and we could actually white piece them here. I'm going to let it tick, but if it does look like we're going to enter a battle with them where we lose or something, I can always just white piece them and then focus mainly on the Ashari uprising. Oh my goodness, we have another dissolution war that just got announced against us. That was a war target in the Ashari uprising, so now we actually almost have plus 100 in that war. And if we could actually get 100 in any of these wars, that would be massive, because what it would mean is we would lock up all of these vassals who are in both these wars, and then we could just revoke all their titles, redistribute them, and then we wouldn't have to deal with factions for a long time, and we can focus on just growing our empire. Oh, and there you go. So we ticked to 100% in the Ashari uprising. So look at this. We're going to have a ton of people in our prisons now. Here we go. Yeah, we got a few already.
Help me.
We're at 98%, 99. There we go, 100% in the independence war. That's more vassals in jail. So now it looks like there's only one disillusion faction left. We can call our allies back into this war. These guys have been absolutely carrying me so far. Our allies have linked up with us here, which is already good. We're gaining power in this war. Oh, and we just hit 1,000 gold.
Ready.
That is huge, because now if we look at the Empire of Tibet, we can create it. Boom, there you go. So we now have control of all of Tibet. Oh my god. Oh, this war got invalidated. We can pause. So now looking at our vassals, you can see we have a bunch of them in jail. So I'm going to go through to every single one of them that we actually have in jail and revoke their title. Oh, I'm going to bump up our crown authority first. Revoke their title. We can take their primary duchy. And then that will leave them landless. So it doesn't matter if they hate us. And we will have our picking of all of these beautiful counties that we want. Okay, there we go. We revoked all the titles. You can see we now have 44 counties under our belt, a ton of these duchies as well. Redistribute my land. I'm going to convert to Asharism. You can see it only costs us 540 piety now that we picked up apostate. So we're going to convert. And now all of our Muslim vassals should like us a lot more. You can see they don't like us because we have too many duchies, but we're going to regulate that right now by granting away a lot of land. I'm also going to have a look through all of these places we just picked up and kind of see if there's any, like which duchy I want to hold personally of these ones that we just revoked away from all these guys. Hopefully one that actually has a duchy building already built would be really nice, and then some with some nice buildings and a lot of castles is pretty much what I'm going to look for here. Okay, so I think I've done a pretty good job. I have now only 5 holdings here in my capital duchy, and then I have 3 holdings here in my secondary duchy, which puts me 2 above my limit, but I should be able to improve that. Oh, I don't know why I married a kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Let's see if we can get a better wife, like this lady here. There we go. Put her on managed domain. That bumps us up to 8 of 8 holdings. And now you can see we're going to be making $18 per month. We should replenish to over 10,000 men, which is a lot better than where we started. The next thing I want to work on is, you can see right now we currently have a equal gender law, which means that on our death we have 4 kids and 2 of them are boys, 2 of them are girls. So our land would split 4 ways. Now that we actually own the Empire of Tibet, at least none of the land would split away from Tibet. But the problem is, you can see we would lose some of our counties, and some of the kingdoms would go to our other kids. So by changing the gender law to male preference, we can get rid of 2 of our daughters from the succession, which is going to be really helpful. We could change the law if we were able to pass high crown authority, which should happen.
What the fuck?
Oh crap, we have to actually wait 20 years to pass this, so I'm not sure if we're gonna survive for 20 more years. I guess we might as well start going down the whole of body lifestyle tree instead, so we can at least survive hopefully till 76. Then we can change our succession law and we won't really have to worry too much about our land splitting a lot. We can deal with like 1 rebellious brother, but not 3 siblings that we'd have to fight. Factions rising up against us, or if we do have some factions rising up against us, they should not be strong enough to overtake us as easily as before because of this very nice military we have now. The next thing I can finally start working on is building a few buildings in our lands, like mainly the duchy building in our capital. That's a hugely important building that you hadn't made yet. So I think I'll just go for a military academies because it gets you more knights, and knights are so important in the military. The other thing is we have like almost no men at arms, which is really what made those wars so hard. With a nice stack of multiple men at arms, you can really fight off like armies that are 2, 3, even 4 times the size of your army. So I'm definitely going to work out on getting more men at arms. I think mainly we're going to be picking up these mountaineer units, which you can see have bonus in mountains, which there are a lot of in our territory. And then I'm also going to be taking a lot of pikemen for the same reason. And then maybe I'll have 2 units of mangonels to help seize down any castles that we need. And one major problem with mountain terrain is that the only economic building you can build are these quarries. And if we look at the quarries, they only give you 0.2 tax. Like you can upgrade them, but they don't get you that much money. One thing that's kind of cool is that it does reduce the building construction time in the region, which is nice. And then later even the construction cost. I think one thing that would be really fun to do would be to reform our culture. You can see we only have 3 traditions right now. Actually, never mind. We have this one here, Himalayan settlers, which makes it so that we actually gain bonus development growth in mountains, and then building construction costs and time. Oh, okay. So we already have this building. I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah, there you go. You can see it is taking effect into the prices of our buildings. We're getting minus 15%. In terms of development, the thing that sucks is that you lose 25%. So this doesn't really, you lose 25% for it being a mountain tile. So the Himalayan settlers only makes it so the total is -5. So I guess it makes it viable to live in mountains, but doesn't really make it amazing. I think I'm going to start increasing the development in our capital because it's pretty low at 7 right now. And the more development you have, the easier it is to stack gold. And also the faster you research, although it looks like our territory isn't actually of our culture right now. Our culture is mainly in this land. So I'm thinking more about our duchy building in the capital. And man, military academies is so good. You can see the gold maintenance helps a lot. Number of knights is super important, and knight effectiveness is all really good. The only other option I could see is blacksmiths, just because it reduces maintenance for men-at-arms also, even further, but it gives you more damage toughness for your spearmen and heavy infantry. And I think based on our terrain, spearmen and heavy infantry are going to be so important for us. So I might as well just go for this. We can also pair that building with a bunch of barracks in our lands, which also raise the spearmen and heavy infantry damage. So if we wanted, we could really stack some nice bonuses for our mountaineers and our pikemen. We're already getting +20 for their damage from all the barracks we have in our domain. So, you know, that could be a pretty formidable force, and we would just slay anything that is in this mountainous terrain, which you can see the Grey Bean Mountains we have a ton of in our county, in our land, and then the dark blue is hills. Okay, so I'm going to try to take advantage of the peaceful times we're in right now, and I'm just going to go around to all of our counties and upgrade all the economic buildings in them. And since we do actually have a decent gold income right now at 26, we should be able to upgrade the quarry buildings and then maybe these pasture buildings pretty often. Oh, okay, so we just finished the Crown Smithies, the duchy building in our capital. You can see that's going to give our heavy infantry and spearmen a huge boost to their damage and toughness. So you can see they actually do 50 now in terms of damage, and then 20, almost 30 in terms of their toughness. So my player is 64, but I still have to wait 10 more years until I can go up to high crown authority. And we need to do that, remember, because we want to change our gender law into male preference, because that'll actually make it so that instead of 3 of my kids splitting my lands when I die, only this son will inherit actually all of the land. And other than that, though, we are making a little bit more money. I'm kind of balancing our new income with filling out our men-at-arms. You can see I almost have 4 full regiments of these mountaineers, which are really strong, these pikemen, which are getting really heavy boosts, and then these bowmen, which aren't getting as big boosts, but they're still going to be very decent for us to have like another type of men. I'm definitely not going to be picking up light horsemen just because they're going to be pretty useless in the mountains. You can see they get -10 to damage, -20 to pursuit in mountains. Ooh, this is not good. We picked up the infirm trait, which is not going to help our health at all here. The good thing is we do have iron constitution. I'm not sure if infirm counts as penalty. I guess it does. So hopefully these two will counteract each other and we can survive just another 8 years now in order to change our succession. Oh my goodness, now we're getting the melancholic trait, which is another penalty. So I'm not liking our odds at surviving here. So I could go around and upgrade my barracks, and I think I will in like a few of my counties just to get them all to tier 2, or a few of them to tier 2. But I've upgraded every single one of my economic buildings that I hold right now. So I think I'm just going to start stockpiling my gold. We are only 9 years away from getting battlements for our culture, and that'll make it so that we can upgrade our castles to tier 2, which is going to be another great source of gold. You can see that's another 0.3 per castle upgrade, and then it'll also let us upgrade our buildings. So those are generally important upgrades for us. So saving some gold to do that is going to be pretty helpful. The only thing is we don't really have our culture in a lot of these territories that we hold. So I will be going around and promoting culture instead in a few of these counties that I hold, like this one over here. I think I should probably flex our new military, and I'm going to declare war on this kingdom of the Himalayas. I thought maybe they should be in our border, but it doesn't look like it. But I don't like the fact that they have the same color as us. It's bothering me a lot. So I'm going to declare war for this county first, just because it's a little bit bigger. But mainly, it's because I want to test out our new army with 800 of these mountaineer units 500 pikemen, 500 bowmen, a lot of knights. You can see our mountaineers are going to be doing 65 damage now, which is pretty crazy. We are boosting the damage by 41% from all the buildings we have in our domain. If you look at their siege progress, you can see they only go up 0.8 per day, while if I look at my siege progress, we go up 3.2 per day. So we caught a pretty small army there, but you can see we did stack wipe them with our mountaineers just doing heaps of damage. If we actually are able to attack them as tile, which it looks like we will, we'll get the defending in mountains bonus because we own this castle, and that's going to help our advantage multiplier here. But it's not like we need it considering just how much stronger our army is than theirs. And boom, you can see we stack wipe these guys as well, which gives us 100% in our war, meaning we get this beautiful duchy for ourselves, expanding our borders just a little bit. Oh my goodness, so I don't know if you noticed, but we have this dying notification, which means we're pretty much gonna die like at any second, but we actually were able to hit October 18th, which is 1 day past what we needed to go up to tier 3 in crown authority, so we can pass that. And now if we change our succession law, we can go to male preference. There are a few people who wouldn't agree with us, but let's see why and if we can actually improve stuff in order to make them a little bit happier. This guy wants a seat on our council, which I guess is something we can do. This guy we can just send gold, so we'll do that. This guy we can probably just also send gold over my domain limit by 1. Oof. Okay, I guess what I can do is grant away one of these little temples that I own, just so I'm at my domain limit. That'll get my opinion up with those guys, and then I can go over here, make this character my steward, which should improve our opinion with them. And now if I go to succession, we can change our law, male preference. We could do male only, but I think male preference is just better. Pass this law. We have a ton of prestige in the bank to be able to do that. And now if you look at our succession, we only have our nice 52-year-old son, who is beautiful, a poet, and a diplomatic courter. They actually have decent stats, not the best stewardship, but you know, at least we will not have any of our lands split, and we get to inherit all of our beautiful domains. So now I think I am ready to die. Perfect. So there we go. We just died. We're now playing as our son, who also has a bunch of kids, but at least we have 1,600 gold in the bank. We do have a Liberty faction who wants to drop our crown authority. I am fine doing this, actually, going to tier 2, because on tier 2 we can still revoke land, which I will need to do if I want to take back like some of these secondary baronies, like this castle, which I want to hold, and this temple. But we'll need to improve our domain limit first before we can do that, like this. Boom. And now we have pretty much got rid of all the factions. We have some that maybe will gain strength here, but you can see we still have 17k men right now. And instead of what was happening before, a lot of this now is coming from our personal domains, which we hold, because we have these barracks everywhere, and I am upgrading these to tier 2 in a lot of places because we do have just so much gold. And honestly, I think this is a perfect place for us to end the video. I think we did a great job of saving Mark's game. He is set up here with a ton of money in the bank, you know, great stats. He does have some succession problems. I think he has 2 sons, but you know, it's not hard to find a way to get rid of one son. And even at this, he would lose some kingdom titles, but everything would be all together underneath the Tibetan Empire. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this disaster save. It was great to get back into CK3. I do have some other plans for some more videos, but I'd like to mix it up, play a little bit of Victoria 3 and CK3 on the channel. But that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. So I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace out.